Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is September 17. Yeah? Did I get that right?
Got it.
Okay. Well, things are moving very, very quickly. I don't know what's happening in your end of the world, but I know in my end of the world, there's just not enough time and not enough me to go around. So everything from ABC calls, I just got off one, that's why I'm late joining, to you name it, agenda stuff and whatever, promo stuff. Have you been seeing all the stuff that I've been pushing out, the promotional videos from our speakers? I hope you're sharing that. That's the goal, is to share it. That's why we're doing it, is you do a video clip, post it somewhere that everybody can then share with their network. And that way creates more understanding of the value that's being presented. A reminder, September 21 is the cutoff for the guest ticket pricing for the event. And if you haven't got one, that means you're not expecting to bring a guest. I want to take your head off, give it a good shake, and then put it back on and say, what's the matter with you? Have you been listening to the law of attraction or not? Yeah, you do things with expectation. You don't, if you're not doing that, you're telling the universe, I don't expect to have anybody there. That's what you're saying. You're saying it on a subconscious level. You're broadcasting it to the universe. Just want you to know how it works. That's how it works, guys. It's not a mystery. There is absolutely no mystery in the creative process. None. Zero. You can ignore it if you choose, but that doesn't make you immune to the results. So, what did I want to tell you? Oh, yeah, I just got the nominations for the HBM Awards from Latin America. All the Platinum, Diamond, and Royal Diamond nominations, the nominees. It's really cool. It's kind of exciting. I'm the only one who knows who's been nominated. Other than the company in Latin America. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Very exciting. Very excited for them. Anyway, I just want to be open to a couple of things. We did a Power A event on Saturday. I'm noticing people joining that call as spectators, the purpose of which this call is a Power A, because there's an A and there's a C. But if there's no C, then what is the point of joining as a spectator, I ask you? You know, we're not looking for customers. We're not looking for consultants who pretend to be consultants who are really just acting as customers. We want business builders to take advantage of this. So be a business builder. Put the business builder hat on and say, okay, the purpose of this event is not for me to be entertained or to learn something. You don't need to learn anymore. You've got all the knowledge you need about this. What we need is new bodies, new people, new energy, new stories. Speaking of which, I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I'm feeling really optimistic and positive that we've got a great news story. I think the Niken story is a great news story. Everything that the company has done to give us a clean business. I mean, if you didn't know anything, and that's that is our problem, right? We have the momentum of the past. That's the paradigm. We have the paradigm of the past holding us where we're being held. If you didn't know anything, as smart as you guys are, because you guys are smart, you're in Niken, you're dedicated to this, you get it. But if you didn't have the weight of the paradigm of the past and you saw Niken fresh with a new pair of eyes, where here's this company that's offering this remarkable product line to solve so many of the issues that we are contending with if we're interested in well-being. They've put together a compensation plan that is so simple and streamlined. Have you looked at any other compensation plans? I challenge you to. You need to look at what the other guys are trying to achieve, because then you'll realize how simple ours is. All the things they have to jump through to make something happen there, it's crazy. Some of them have like 30 positions in their compensation plan. I don't know. I just don't get it. Anyway, the point is we have a great compensation plan that's simple. It pays us and rewards us for the simplest of things. Build the network. Build the network. So when you're building the business, there's two aspects to building the business. There's building your customer base, and there's building your downline, building your network. And so I call it building the organization. The focus You know, I had lunch with Bob Proctor this past week. How many of you saw that video? The video he just said, "Okay, turn the camera on." And we asked Bob, "Would you mind if we took a picture? Maybe maybe say a couple of words so we can promote the upcoming." He said, "Turn the camera on." So we start. That was a one take for Bob Proctor. He doesn't need two takes. So anyway, we had lunch. And he was asking us about the event and so forth. And we talked about the past, and we talked about stuff that's going on in his life, in our lives, in our children's lives, and so forth. And he's such an amazing guy and such a generous man. You know, I'm going to tell you this, but there's a group in Germany that are flying him. He doesn't fly coach. He doesn't fly commercial airlines anymore. He flies private, and that's why he's limited most of his travel to North America, basically between Toronto and Los Angeles. But anyway, so these guys wanted him out there in Germany, and he said, "Well, you know, don't fly coach." And of course, he has a team of people now who handle him. And so his CEO says, "Well, if you want him, you got to get him charter a plane for him to get him out there." Well, have you ever looked into the price of chartering a plane to Europe? Jeez. Well, the first one that came back was some ridiculous number. So they said, "Well, that won't do. Well, try again." So they came back and they found one so they agreed to give this guy this flight to Germany and back for a one-day thing, where they're paying him 6 figures for one day, and the flight to and back is $250,000. That's insane, but that's reality. So imagine that. They're so excited to do this for him and have him out there, because that's what it means to them. We're going to have him. Now, I can tell you, I didn't pay $250,000 or even 6 figures to have him. So it's just amazing. I just am blown away by that every time I think about it. But anyway, so yeah, we were at lunch, and he said, you know, this is what he said. He said, "If I had to do it over again, I'd do network marketing." And both Bo and I were surprised, because he's seen everything. He sees all kinds of businesses and business opportunities all the time. So we said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, but I would do it different." Of course he would do it different, right? He's Bob Proctor. So I was curious now. I said, "Well, what do you mean by different? What would you do different?" He says, "Well, you're building an organization. So I would be looking for people of influence. I'd be looking for business builders." Surprise, surprise. So it seems to me that that's probably good advice for all of us. And the only reason why we don't maybe take it as serious as we should is because, and I've always felt this way, by the way, I've been feeling on your behalf when I'm articulating to our CEO stuff. I'm feeling on our behalf that maybe one of the reasons why we have been gun shy about going after some of these influential people is because we didn't know whether or not we had something of great value to them, something that would bring real value into their lives, where they would see Nikan as something that they could put their reputation on the line for. And I have to tell you, I'll be the first to admit, there was a period of time where it was dicey for me. No matter how big you get, how much money you make, it's still about your reputation. It's still about whether you feel you can represent something in the best interest of the person you're talking to, not out of self-interest, because you've gotten to a place where you're motivated by making an impact. It's not self-interest. It's not about what's in it for me all the time. And so, yeah, if you're going to stand up and tell somebody, you ought to really check this out, you better have something that you feel really good about. And I think at this point in time where we're at, there's every reason to feel good about what we've got. It's like the foundation is solid. There's no cracks in the foundation. Forget the past. What's laid down right now is a foundation that I think is rock solid. You can really build. And if you didn't have the weight of the paradigm of the past, you could really build something on this. You would be very proud to go out to your friends, even people you've talked about, saying, "Are you still doing that Nikan thing? Are you still doing that magnet thing?" Man, if you knew what I knew, you'd be doing it too. If you knew what I knew and the things that have happened since I got involved, the changes that just were made in the last year alone would be reason enough. If you knew what I knew, you would be involved. My answer to a person who says, if this is this network marketing, I said, if it wasn't, I wouldn't be involved. Tell me something. Are you going to build a company from the ground up globally? I don't think so. Are you smart enough to do that? I doubt it. Have you invented anything that everybody in the world will want? Probably not. So how are you going to get the job done? I tell you what, partner up with us. We'll show you how to do it. We've got a company who's laid the infrastructure down. Now it's just a matter of getting the products to the market. Nobody knows we even exist. People don't know we have these products. And is it something that is, like, honestly, I was just on an ABC call, and this person was talking about what they do. And what they do is fantastic. They do energy work. I said, you know, even all the people that you deal with drink water. So can't get away from that. So why don't you recommend our water? It's the best water they can get. So the things that we have are not frivolous. It's not a frivolous idea.
What do you do? Elaine speaking.
Hi, Elaine. We can hear you.
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you.
She can't hear me. All right. So anyway, the point is, what we represent is not frivolous. You know, I've had conversations with our CEO where he gets so disappointed. You know how disappointed he was that he had to pull the plug on the nutrition bars? He was really disappointed. Because you know what he said to me? He says, it is a good product. We produced a damn good product. And he's right, we did. And he can put together something of real value, an excellent product, uncompromised. Yet, we didn't do a good enough job of making it so that the company could keep that product on the shelf. It's our fault, not his. He put a good product out and we didn't sell it. Now, you might argue, well, you know, I was distracted. I had this going on, that. We got other products and so on and so forth. Yeah, but he's doing everything he can as a CEO to give us the ability to go out and tell the world about something new and exciting of great value. And he's trying to think about the future. He's trying to think about what it's going to take to keep your cash flow going, because it's all we're a microcosm of the macrocosm. So a nutrition bar would be a good cash flow product. How about shampoo? Good cash flow product. You know, I have a consumer who's on auto ship on the product, and I said, do you want to change your auto ship order? Like, have you accumulated any of the shampoo? Because I know I do. Boy, I imagine they have. So I'm thinking they probably have got a few more shampoo bottles than they need, and they might want to change their order, right? You think, right? Hell no. Couldn't convince her to change her order. Do you know why? She says, Mike, my mother's hair's grown back. So she says, I give her a bottle. I give my son a bottle. He's got long flowing hair. I want my bottles. So that's a good product. That's a good problem to have. We just don't have enough people. Because for some reason, you're still too shy. For some reason, you still feel not compelled enough to go way out of your way to let people know this is there. Or maybe you're gun shy about the opportunity. Well, guess what? You're creating your own reality. You know, if you're not telling other people and you're not building a network, you're not going to get the benefit of a network. You know, 6% is 6%. Larry Prophet used to always say, do you want 6% or 1%? Or 6% or 100%. That's what I think he used to say. You want 6% or 100%? Well, you can have 100% of nothing, and that wouldn't be much. Or you can have 6% of a huge organization. So the percentage doesn't matter. It's what is it of? It's got to be a percentage of something. And so the of something is what's in question here. That's the thing that we have to really start to get uncomfortable or get comfortable in our uncomfortableness about it. Like, really make a point of building something where that 6% means something. So, another argument that you might have, well, Mike, the CV and the PV, they're not one-to-one. What planet are you living on? Find me one company in network marketing that has the PV and the CV one-to-one ratio. Go ahead. I dare you. I'll tell you what, if they're paying bonuses on their packs, their CV-PV ratio is 50% at best, because they got to pay the pack bonus out of something. And guess what they're selling? That's what they're selling. So their CV-PV ratio is 50 cents on the dollar. It's not rocket science, guys. There's only so much money to go around, and it's got to be spread out according to the compensation plan in a way that's fair and equitable for all the players. We have that. We just need more players on the field where that number starts to show up and becomes the 4-year career promise. The promise of the 4-year career, that interview. How many of you watched the interview of me by Richard Brooke? He kept trying to parallel my story to the 4-year career. I'm not exactly a perfect story for the 4-year career. I did the 4 years in 2 or 1. Most people, it takes 4 years, but for some reason I was able to compress time. But for the most part, let's go with his sense about it. 1 year, it's very little. 2nd year, still very little. 3rd year, maybe not even as much as the 2nd year. But then that 4th year, at some point in time, you hit the bend in the knee. And that's that beautiful thing called compounding, the 8th wonder of the world, according to Einstein. So if you're not consistent with your recruiting efforts, if you're not consistent with your building your organization efforts, you won't experience that, the bend in the knee, that compounding effect. So I'm just shooting off right now with what is top of mind for me. And that is, we've got to build a network. We've got to build a network. We've got to build a tree, a network, a tree, a new tree. Because the old tree needs to be shaken so that whatever dead apples or whatever they're on, they don't take up any more space. How many of you are working with people who are taking up space? Seriously. What is your measure of someone being productive? What is your standard of someone being productive? Ask yourself that question. I think it's an important question. How do you know if your time is worth it where somebody else is concerned? Are they doing the things that you're suggesting they do? Are they following? How many of you saw that ABC call? What she kept talking about? She kept saying, I just did everything this thing told me to do. She went silver inside of 3 months. Hey, I could take another 1,000 of those. How about you? Okay, so the mystery's not there anymore. It's not about what to do. We now have the formula. We know it works. It's who we're doing it with. We can get brave and bold and start making some moves. We got an event coming up in Toronto. This is going to be the best recruiting event that you've been to in 10 years. In 10 years, I'm putting my reputation on the line. It'll be the best recruiting event you've been to in 10 years. And you're going to come away from that event kicking yourself if you don't bring guests. I promise you, you're going to tell me we're going to have this call. I'll interview you. I'll ask you the question. How many of you feel like idiots because you didn't bring people? Sorry for being a little bit bold in my vernacular tonight, but really, I don't want that to be you. I want you guys to get all the bang for your buck. And I know that the answer to that is a downline, and I know the answer to the downline is something exciting. They need to be exposed to something that says to them, I want in. And I know this event will do that. The second you walk into the hotel, you're going to say, whoa. That's what's going to happen. It happened to me. And I've been to a lot of hotels. The second you walk into that ballroom, you're going to go, whoa. Because it's energy. Everything's energy, guys. And it has a certain energy that just makes you feel like, wow, this is class. This is elegant. This is like, man, I want to be, who are these guys? What? And then you're going to see this. I was thinking about sharing with you the draft agenda tonight. I was going to sort of let the cat out of the bag and show you what the draft agenda is. It's killer. It is so good. I don't know what else to tell you other than to show you it. And then, by the way, Maggie, I have to talk to you about something because I've asked you're playing a role that you don't know about yet. Yeah. So I think it's going to be just an awesome opportunity for guests. I've got a person coming up from Halifax to come and be my guest at this event. I'm paying their guest ticket. It's costing me like it's costing you $79 for the guest. They're paying for their flight and their hotel. But man, is it worth $79 out of my pocket? Are you kidding? Yeah. If they're willing to fly all the way over here for that, they're going to get something. So I want you to think bigger, not for my sake, for yours. You're going to come and you're going to hear Bob Proctor. What do you think he's going to talk about? How do you think you're going to feel after you hear him speak? So I'm just giving you the heads up. Don't wait and don't waste this opportunity. Anyway, enough pontificating and what do they call that when you stand on a stumping? What, I forget what that's called. Anyway, so out to you guys. Any thoughts coming your way? Any thoughts you'd like to share tonight? Yes, Maggie.
Michael, if Elaine's still on, I see her name there. Elaine, are you there? Anyway, Elaine's a brand new consultant on my team, and she's got at least three coming to the event in Toronto. There's
a person whose business is about to explode.
I know. And those three people are planning to be at the wellness previews. I don't know which ones yet, this week in Toronto.
Okay, give me a heads up. Just send me a text when you know. I said
to Elaine, we need to let Michael know who they are and which one they're going to. So that's exciting.
That's fantastic. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the entire event, Elaine, that we're doing is for you. Yeah. That's how I'm building this thing. We're building this show. We're building this content. I asked Luis Kasuga today. He said, it's a lot. What do you say? It's busy. It's a busy schedule, meaning there's not a moment's rest. I said, too busy? Because that worried me. Too busy? He says, it is, but it is rich in content. Okay, well, then I said, well, I don't know how to reduce it. He says, don't. So, and here's a guy who's put on pretty big events. So he knows what he's doing. So I'm telling you, the big winners of this event are going to be the people who've got guests. They are going to be the big winners. Why? Because when I went to my first Nikken convention, it was in where was it? In the U.S., in Nevada, in Las Vegas. It was at Las Vegas. Now, interestingly enough, I had just lost my mother 8 days earlier. So it was not the most upbeat time to go and experience something, but I had made a commitment and this was about the future and I knew of its importance and I needed to be there. So I was there. Life was not going to stop. Life for me was going to continue and I had to make decisions that were in the best interest of my future. So it wasn't to dwell on the past. It was to simply move forward. And so I went. And what an experience. I met the Williams for the first time and I met all these great people and I was like, man, these are amazing people. And the experience that I got from being in an event that I felt I was treated with great respect. I love the venue. I love the experience of the recognition and the people, seeing people on stage and all of that stuff, learning something new. I was like a nobody getting my feet wet in an environment that felt really like, wow. And what an impression, a lasting impression it made. And I think that that's the most we could hope for when we're introducing somebody to Nikken is an impression. One of the things I did on an ABC call, I did a one-on-one it was an ABC actually, in a Tim Hortons coffee shop here on Saturday with Roberto. And he introduced me to a couple, and this guy's like built like a brick house, man. This former footballer, his kid's got a football scholarship in UBC. This guy's huge. So, and this was toward the end of the presentation. Duh, I'll never let that happen again. I do this demo. And we know how important demos are, right? So I'm talking and talking and talking and talking, and I didn't do the demo until toward the end, and I said, well, let me try something on you. So I said, okay, I was going to do the one where you the mag duo massage the back and do the flexibility. So I said, okay, I want you to raise your put your thumbs out to your side and raise your arms. He could not. I kid you not. He couldn't get his arms past what you're looking at right now.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't even get them parallel here. And I'm like, is that it? So is that it? Like, this guy's huge. He's built like a brick house. You'd think he could pick me up and throw me over his head. He couldn't move his arms. He couldn't get his arms above this. I'm like, holy. So I tried moving his arms back. Nothing. This guy's stiff as a board. He can't move. So I take the mag duo out, start talking, as we do, blah, 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 blah. 2 minutes later, try it again. His arms are up here. He's like, whoa. His wife is like, whoa. Like all of a sudden you see the energy shift like that. And I realized all the talking I've been doing up until this point didn't really even matter. What mattered was what just happened. And now that had much more of an impact on him and anything I said. So now I gave him some information to take home. He's going to go through it, and that's that. So it's like, what a product that we can create that impact. So it's all about feeling. If we can create an impression, that's going to give people a lasting impression. And the product is one thing, the business is another. And you guys have been stalled out on the business, haven't you? Truthfully, right? How do we get unstalled from the business? We got to get re-engaged. We got to get excited. We got to be proud to be able to bring somebody to an event and say, this is who we are. Look at the quality. Look at the people. Look at the content. Measure us by this and tell us if you want to be part of it. Yes, Suzanne.
So, sorry I'm a few minutes late, but I was finishing up with Renu. And Mike, we were just on a call before this. And, it boils down to what's important for them, right? So, you shared a lot of information. You were encouraging her to attend the event. But you said one thing that stuck with her after you got off. You told her about Bruce Black and his knee, and how his knee was helped in a matter of a few minutes. So you get off the call. She says to me, well, my mother hurts all the time, but I think my mother-in-law might be open to this. She's been hurting for a long time. Do you think it could help her knee too? And how do you think so now, then she says, I think I know a lot of other people that this might help. But, it was a process that it had to be a personal, who can I help myself and my own family? How can I make that difference? Some people think globally right out of the gate, but for a lot of people, even, I think of the doctors, like, they want to help their families potentially first before they go out and help their patients sometimes. So for her, she was thinking about her family first. So thanks for mentioning Bruce.
My pleasure.
Mike,
Yes.
Mike, JP would be on, except we just had major 8 tornadoes in the city and 1 hit down. So he's without electricity and without communication. But he was going to have a couple people come on. But one of the people we met today, we met his wife at a networking event. And as soon as she got home, the husband wanted to meet us to talk about the business. And what was interesting, I went with him, and this guy is on fire. He's already researched everything on the line. And when I did the demo with the insoles, he immediately stops and calls his wife, come in here. And everything we did with demos just made it that much better. It was incredible. And then we talked about Toronto. We were hoping to get him on so that he could hear a little bit more about that. But Yeah, they're out there, and it is so darn easy if you just open it up to the business people. And this is a business person.
So you were using the product as I recommend. You were showing, in fact, I had 2 meetings on Saturday. The second meeting was with a person, Angel, who came all the way from Ajax, like drove an hour and a half to get to a meeting to us, to meet, to discuss getting involved in the business. And he wanted to know how, like, how do I make this work? He's in construction, but he's a musician. He's from Cuba and Spanish speaking and whatever. Anyway, and it was, what I said to him was, I'm not looking for customers. Customers are everybody. Everybody's a customer. Everybody needs what we have. So I don't look for what's so obvious. I look what's not obvious. I want to know who wants more out of life. That's a more difficult question to answer and a more difficult question to ask. So I'm looking for people who are willing to ask that question and listen for the answer. Because who's hurting? Who's not hurting? That's an easy question. Everybody answers that question that way. I want to ask a harder question because that's where the real talent lies. That's where the real opportunity lies. It's not to do what's easy. It's to do what makes a difference, what matters. So it's a little bit more probing. It requires a little bit more of a discipline. And so I just said to him, this product demonstration that I do, and I use my phone. Actually, I use the water bottle as an example. I said, I could say to you, see this sport bottle? This does this, that, and the other. Or I could say, you see this sports bottle? This is how we're going to make our fortune. I said, which of these 2 questions, which of these 2 approaches interests you the most? He says that, the fortune. I said, yeah, of course. So if I was going to take a chance on 100 people, which should I use? If I was going to roll the dice on 100 people, which one do you think I should use? And the answer was obvious. And that's the point. It is obvious. We have to start looking for people who want more out of life, and we have to show them that the product is a means to that end. So use the product to pique interest. Don't use the product as the product. If you're building a network, an organization, it's about people being motivated to do something, to influence a situation. It's not about people being motivated to consume. It's a different energy. It's a different dialogue. So that's it. That's the magic. That's the secret. No big secret, right? So if you had to ask the question, which question would you ask? If you had to present the product, which package would you present it in? The features benefits package or the opportunity package? And then when you do those demos, man, this, like, you can see my screen. I'm talking, you can probably see the green line around my screen, right? I don't know if you guys see what I see. I see a green line around my screen because I'm talking. Okay, so that light around my screen, let's call that the frame. I frame the conversation with the idea that there's an opportunity. And then I get into the conversation. Now the frame is still there even though I'm not talking about it. So when I do a product demo, it's in the context of the frame. Now we can go back to the conversation and I say, how many people do you think would benefit from this? When I did the demo for that footballer, I said, how many professional athletes or just athletes in general do you think would benefit from something like this? He's like, pfft. And then his wife mentioned something. He says, no, I'm thinking about the business. So, of course he's thinking about the business. It was framed in the business. So if I just said to you, I want to talk to you about a business idea, but before I get into that, I just framed it. Let me show you something. And then I do a demo. It's framed. It's already framed. Any other comments? We can wrap it up a little bit early today. So I do have a question for you. You guys, two heads are better than one. Definitely 20 are better than one. So I have done everything I know how to do in order to create the best event I know how to create. Invite the people who I think you will be very, very pleased to have heard from, and many of these people you've never heard from before, but they're all movers and shakers. To invite world-class speakers to come and share their world-classness with us, to put it in a venue that is worthy of who we are, not some schleppy hotel or whatever. It's high quality. It's a city that's, TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, is the second largest film festival in the world for a reason. So, done everything I know how, including pricing the tickets below, you're not going to believe this, but I'm telling you the truth, cost. So what would you do to encourage more people to come? Even priced an event ticket for a guest, even had that. What more can I possibly do in the short time that we have for you guys to go out of your way, or for others to go out of their way? If you're giving me constructive feedback, what would you give me right now?
Michael?
Yes.
Hi, this is Elaine. I'm the newbie on the block.
Hi, Elaine, newbie on the block.
Hi. And Maggie mentioned earlier that I've invited 3 people to the conference. Actually, I've been busy, and I may possibly invite 17 people to the conference.
Whoa.
Because I have family. I have a family of 7 first cousins, as well as the other 3 people. And I pitched it to them the best I possibly can. And I just want to say that everything that you're saying, I have already intuited. Like what you're saying is affirming things that I already know. And so I want to thank you. And I'm just so honored to have joined this team. Thank you ever so much.
Wow. Thank you, Elaine. I don't know what to say. Just thank you.
I have a question for Elaine. Elaine, what did you do when you say you gave them the pitch? How did you invite them?
Well, I don't see these cousins very often because they live in Toronto and I live in Vancouver, but they're first cousins. And I asked them, first of all, how each of them is doing. And there's one cousin in particular that is sort of the contact for all her brothers and sisters. And the first half of the conversation was just about giving me the lay of the land of each of the cousins and their husbands and their children and in other words, I just wanted to have a sense of who was doing what. And everybody is hurting. Everybody has some deficit in their life. So I understood what I was working with. And then only once I had established what was going on, then I started to talk about this opportunity and how it could benefit their lives. And I could tell she was really, really deeply moved. And I'm going to call her midweek and say, what has been the response? And the deadline is the 21st. And I'm just going to talk about the Delta Hotel and just add a little bit more fuel to the fire to motivate them that this is an amazing opportunity because, yeah, they need to do this for their lives. They really do.
Elaine, if all they did was come Friday morning to night, if that's all they did, they will change their life. Just with the agenda we have on Friday.
And I sense that. I sense if they couldn't come to the entire conference, if they could just come from one day and listen to some of those speakers, it would just energize them and pump them up so high. Yeah. They really need that lift in their lives. So yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Very refreshing. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks to Maggie.
And thanks to Maggie. Thanks to Maggie for going out and making the point of sharing this information. And that's the key, guys. That's what we do. That's who we are. We're the bearer of good news. We got good news. We got great things to talk to people about. I always wondered what I would do in my life, and I didn't know for the longest time what my message would be. I didn't have a message. I needed a message, because what's the point of being given the gift of gab if you don't even have a message of any consequence? And when I found the message, and that message was really deep rooted, I mean, the 5 pillars of health and the mission behind this was so powerful. You've seen, I haven't stopped talking about it. And by the way, that's another thing I do talk about. When people are asking me, what do you talk about? I talk about the concept. I say, I want to talk to you about a concept called the 5 pillars of health. You ever heard of it? Of course they haven't heard of it. And then I talk to them about it, because that's going to get into the conversation that Elaine's talking about. It's going to get into the need. It's going to get into what's going on in their life, what is happening where their balance is concerned. So, and this concept was born in Japan in 1975. It doesn't make it old. It makes it wise. So it's all in how you shape the message. And that's why I think I'm so excited about the message that we have. And I think the message that we have is so more relevant today than it was when I got started. I don't think people are less stressed physically or financially. They are more stressed than ever. It's a matter of time before we have chaos if we don't get a handle on this. So it's up to us. Yes.
Michael, I am truly excited about coming to Toronto, and I can tell I'm re-energized, as if I was ever low on energy, but I am re-energized. And since the team meeting at our home on Saturday, I've gotten a list of about 18 people who I couldn't wait till our next team event. So I asked Barbara, could we do it again this coming Sunday? And we are. So I am really going to move. I'm serious. We've got something that I am proud of, that I can personally use and edify others. But it actually got me into trouble, because within the last 3 weeks, 2 people who were at sessions that Al and I held, instead of going appropriately to the next person that they should have been under, they asked to come with Al and me. So I sent one to Barbara, and I said, whatever Barbara says, that's the way you'll have to go, because we're not cutting anybody's throat in our business. We're collaborative. And then the other lady, her husband and I have known each other for at least 50 years. But when she came to the meeting at our house, she recognized a person who thought she was going to come in under her, but she never talked to her. And she has responded back with me, and she wants to come with me. So I can tell I'm on fire. So I'm really wanting to do this thing with integrity. And my point is, Barbara has given me the key. What I need to do is just talk to more people. You cued it in, make it business-minded people. And I just want to hear you say that even if I don't bring somebody to Toronto who's a prospect, that it will be totally worth our time, Al and me, to come.
Okay, well, let me tell you this. How important is your energy in the equation of how you come across to other people?
It is.
And if that energy is shallow, do people sense that?
Yep.
If that energy is deep, they sense that.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So what is the last big event you've been to?
I went to Utah, but that's because Al has a serious hip situation. And I just said, man, we're going to Toronto. We got to go to Toronto.
How did you feel coming back from Utah? The big event. No, on a scale of 1 to 10, energy-wise.
11.
How did it impact your business?
It did.
Okay. What I'm hearing is it was probably on a Richter scale of 2, and it impacted your business maybe a 3. I promise you, my words to God's ears, this is going to hit you a 10. and it's going to impact your business a 10. You are not going to come out of Toronto the same person. If you could hear me talk about my children with Bob Proctor at lunch last week, you would know I'm dead serious about what I'm talking about. I said to Bob as soon as I sat down, Bob, I have to thank you. You have changed my children's life. Now, everything you said they know, they've heard me say it all my life. And they told me, I've heard you say this all our lives. But for some reason, that event changed everything. And my kids are not the same people. My daughter texted me, Savannah, the younger one, texted me this past week, a text message saying, Papa, somebody just told me I changed their life.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? And so she says, I was just telling them everything that happened at the event and what we talk about. And she said, I changed her life. And she says, I feel so good. And I said, now you know why I do what I do. Now, I shared that with Bob because I wanted him to have the feedback, because there's a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old. If you can change someone, their paradigm, you change their life. They must change their paradigm to change their life. And that is not something that happens on a shallow level. That's not a change in the paradigm. It's a change in the belief system, a change in the perception of who they are and their relationship to life and others. That's what's going to happen here. It's baptism. It's like an immersion in something that is so central to truth and so close to truth that it's going to cause a vibrational shift within you. The other thing that we talked about, he reminded me, he says, once consciousness expands, it cannot go back. So this shift will be permanent. That's what you're going to get. Now, knowing this is what you're going to get. How compelled do you feel to bring somebody? See, this is how I feel. How I feel is I know what's going to happen. I know what you're going to get. And I know how you're going to feel coming out of this thing. And I know if you had people with you, multiply that by 10. Because then it's not just you, it's what you have given birth to in someone else, which you guys are driven by. You're cut from the same cloth as I am. You're driven to make an impact. So to have shared this, to have given this gift to someone, like I gave it to my daughters. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that you're going to be a beneficiary of this event, hands down, no matter what, period. But if you want to really win in a bigger way, for you to win in a bigger way, it's to be the witness to this for somebody else that you're bringing. Because you said something to somebody, like Maggie said something to someone. That's the feeling that is much more profound than what we get for ourselves on our own account. It's when we have imparted it to someone else. That's the real bang for your buck. That's where you really make a difference. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm so jazzed to do this because I can't wait to see what happens for you. I don't know if I can get more revved up than I am. I don't really need to be revved up more. My real win comes with you guys becoming electric like me. And then watch Nikan. Then look at what we give birth to as a company. And you might say, well, can that all happen in one event? It happens in the blink of an eye. The change in someone it happens always this way, by the way, because it's a choice, it's a decision. And once that decision is made, the shift happens, the frequency changes. And the law of attraction goes to work, as it always does, and accommodates that new frequency. So yeah, it does happen in a blink of an eye. Doesn't even need to be the whole 2 days. So I guess we have some work to do. Yeah? Let's make this week a real work week. All right, guys. I'm going to say sayonara. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Mike.